to ReneMarie Stroke of Luck. I'm ReneMarie, and this is really an important show during these unprecedented times, right? It really, we've all become caregivers in some format, and we have our partner and my dear friend and my confidant, Tracy Lawrence, as a special guest today. She's also the author of Dementia Sucks, which is a great title for a book, and it really entices you to figure out what sucks. And she does it through a lot of humor. So we're going to welcome her in 2 seconds. But we also have Judy, my co-host, on the phone. Judy, you there?
Yes. Hi. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Good morning.
How are you?
How good, Judy. I'm glad that you were able to join us in some format, and we will get everybody up and running this Zoom and world with the social media and the technology. Really, you have to get engaged, so we're happy that you're trying.
Yes.
So how has it been going, Judy?
It's going well, yes. I've been keeping busy. I've been reading a lot, and of course, seeking new guests.
Yes, you've been doing an incredible job seeking new guests. So we're gonna talk to Tracy, our friends, a little bit, and we're gonna welcome her. Tracy, hi. How's it going?
Renee. Oh, it's going good. Thanks.
Good.
Nice to see you this morning.
Yes, I'm sorry we're a little bit late in the production. You've been on the show, and you've been 3 years. How many years is it? It's got to be at least. It's got to be 7 or 8 years. It's got to be
something like that.
10, if not 10. So, and most people will know that follow me is that, you're my financial advisor. You help me with my insurance, not my financial advisor, but my insurance,
Yes.
that you've helped me to get to protect myself. We've spoken about many, many times. And I guess, our goal and objective today is to really talk about caregiving and how many different formats that has taken on in this pandemic. So how has it been going with you during this time?
Well, I'm very grateful that my parents are no longer around, because having to deal with the special challenges of staying confined in this kind of environment, it's tough enough when you don't have these challenges.
Yeah.
Now we're at a point where because so many people are working from home, they're seeing things in a different way, and their parents, who they formerly viewed as being independent and okay, are maybe not so okay, and they're starting to see the vulnerability, because, as we know, people who are older are much more vulnerable to this disease, and it can kill them.
Yeah.
Those of us who are younger don't have to be as concerned. So they're finding that, their parents are asking for a lot more from them sooner than they had anticipated it happening. So it's a very tough time, and for those of us who have loved ones in long-term care facilities, that's particularly dangerous, particularly because in areas like ours, in New York and New Jersey, the governors were negligent enough to put out executive orders that forced long-term care facilities to accept COVID-positive patients into their facilities, threatening their lives.
Wow.
So, sorry, I get very heated about that, because it was unnecessary and negligent. Beg your pardon?
It's a passion,
It is, and Yes, and that we know how vulnerable these people are, and until this happened, when you would introduce a new resident to a nursing home, before they would allow the person to come to be admitted, they would have to take a number of medical tests. They would have to be tested for tuberculosis and other contagious diseases to make sure that they weren't bringing in something that was going to affect the entire community. Now, with these executive orders, nursing homes were told, you can't ask those questions, you can't test these people. If they're COVID positive, you have to take them. And it's a horror show. Thousands of people have died needlessly because of this.
Wow.
And the Governor Cuomo tried to hide it. It's disgusting. So and I really feel for people who have their loved ones in these facilities. They're being kept out. They're being told they can't visit their loved ones because they might infect them, and yet they're bringing in infected
Meanwhile, they
people.
can't see what's going on there.
Right, they can't advocate for their loved ones. They're left there alone, and in so many cases, they're left there to die alone. It's awful.
Yeah.
So it's
Very
a very difficult time.
I mean that's the biggest. I mean, there's a lot of sad things that have happened during this pandemic. I mean, just tragedies, but the fact that you can't be by your family's side when you're sick or you're elderly or in a nursing home, that has been traumatic. It's
tragic.
So traumatic because of this virus. It's been, how many weeks have we been into it? Since about March 15th, right?
Yeah, around there, yeah.
Because I remember that week. When you think to yourself, a mile, like this, when Princess Diana died, I remember where I was. When Elvis died, I remember where I was. And I remember like the date of that week, how
John Kennedy died.
Yes, and things just getting more intense through the week. And it was like, okay, set up. So, if you do have to work from home, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, nobody's allowed out. You got to work home. It's from home. And it was like, oh, okay, and it was crazy. It was crazy.
Yes, and it's still crazy. And it's unfortunately, it doesn't have to be this crazy, but we suffer from governmental leaders who are not making the decisions. They're not basing decisions on science. They're basing their decisions on God knows what. Mm-hmm. It's awful, and they're responsible for the death of thousands of people that did not have to die. Certainly not the way they did.
But we try to not talk about politics. We try to on the show, we try to stay away from that because we don't want anybody. We want to stay in our world, and our world is bringing hope and care and caregiving. So as much as
I understand,
I hear what you're saying, and we could talk offline about it. But on the show, we want to be a place where people can come for information and joy and uplifting and all that kind of stuff. So let's talk about caregiving, because like I said, during this time, we've all had to kind of caregive in a different way. We've caregivers for everybody. We've all had to do that. So how do they handle that? I mean, with people that families that have children going to school right under their roof, and then their parents are living by themselves and they can't even go see their parents. I mean, it's sad, it's hard, it's stressful. What should people do about that, Tracy?
Well, one of the things that I've been working on is to work with the employers.
Yes.
To create resources and support processes to help their employees who are in this situation. It's the challenges have multiplied, and while for some people it's it's a little easier being home because now they don't have to commute, which, you know, it eases that portion of their lives. But now in many cases they have children who are home, who are homeschooling, and they can't do that unsupervised.
Right.
And then they've got their parents who are afraid of going to the store to get groceries or their prescriptions, or, you know, and they need to see their doctors in a lot of instances. And they're challenged with technology. You know, for some of us, jumping on a telemed call with a doctor is not that strange. But for someone who's a little older, it might be tough to comprehend. Like, how do I do this? Why would I do this?
Right. Right.
So, you know, it's so what I have been doing is reaching out to companies to help them to come up with processes and procedures and resources that can help their employees to be more effective, efficient, and less stressed while taking on these various different challenges. So, and I think that's going to be even more important as the economy opens up and people are going back to physical offices and companies are trying to figure out what their new normal is. So I think it's wise to incorporate family caregiving strategies into their new business plans, so
And you
that
had started this before the pandemic, because
yes,
last time
yes,
you were on our show, you were talking about this. So it's almost like
yes,
it's a gift that you already started this conversation with them. Then
yes.
all of a sudden we had this pandemic, so they're listening more closely now because what you're saying is something they value and need.
Right, and that's something that I've been working on to kind of, you know, just pivot, because this is, you know, I had already started the pivot. And now I'm, you know, incorporating outreach to companies that are figuring out how to recalibrate as they come back from this pandemic. And, you know, a lot of employees have been scattered to the winds. You know, they said, okay, don't come back, work from home. Well, you know, some of them, you know, people got furloughed, people lost their jobs, some jobs were eliminated. And so as they come back, the people who they were counting on being there for them may not be there. And so they're going to have to attract new employees, and they're going to have to speak their language. So to be able to reach out to those people effectively and to be able to furnish the kinds of tools that they would, and benefits that they would find appealing, is going to be that much more important. And to help to connect the people they do have with these resources so they understand what they are. A lot of times when someone's hired, right, you learn about what your benefits are, right? And then you don't know how to implement them, or you forget what they were. Right. So by having regular educational sessions with your employees and seeing how they're doing and explaining to them how these benefits that they're entitled to can serve them so that they can be healthier and more productive.
Right.
As they resume activities, you know, that's a huge benefit, and it's cost effective, because what you're doing is you're not necessarily bringing in new or more benefits, but what you're doing is you're opening the door so that your employees will use them and take better care of themselves. When someone takes a better care of themselves, then they're going to be healthier, they're going to be happier, and they're going to be able to focus on their job.
Right. Yeah, that's you know, it's I was at, you know, I actually like working from home, not all the time. I think that a mixture is really important, because when you're in the office, you're engaging with people, you're meeting people, you got to do things and all that kind of stuff. But then when you're working from home, you can really focus with all the noise going on around you. But I'm gifted because, you know, I don't have.
You could do both.
What's that?
I said you do both, and you do it well.
I know, but what I was going to say
I
was,
think you work 24 hours a day, actually.
I do, but I love to work, Tracy. To me, Judy and Tracy, it's not really work. It's life, you know.
Mhm.
It's dealing with life one on one and dealing with people, and it takes a lot of extra care and compassion to deal with each person as they come forth. You know, we could just be robots and do our work, but that's not who I am. I always remember. I forget where it was where I saw it, but I said, "Oh, that's me." I said, "You always have to do everything you do to the best that you can do it and complete it,
That's true.
you know, and you have to complete
I
it."
feel
And
that way.
it's hard, but
And I know Tracy does, and I know you do.
yes, Tracy does the same thing. It's a lot of inner work, you know. So,
Absolutely.
so I mean, one of the what I was thinking was I was looking at your website just for refresh my memory of things to talk about and what you're doing and stuff. You've had to caregive for your husband twice. I think I saw it in that
Yes.
email in your website, and your
Mhm.
mother and your father. And
Yes.
so what lessons did you learn from that, which you put in your Dementia Sucks book, which is very, very good because it really shares information with humor, which is really important because if we don't have humor in our lives, we'll all flip out, especially during this pandemic. So, what did you learn from your processes? And the other thing before you begin to answer is when I was on the show with Dr. Beculus and Jason prior, I was saying to him like, I've had to suffer a stroke. I suffered a stroke, but what am I going to do with that? What am I going to do with what happens in my life? Am I going to woe is me for the rest of my life? And why did all this happen to me? Or am I going to, find out my purpose and really bring some awareness to strokes and aphasia? So, and I know that's what you've done with your book. So what have you learned from your challenges, your caregiving with your family?
A lot.
Sure.
Every caregiving episode brought new lessons. With my dad, the big lesson was that parents will try to hide what's really going on from you.
Mm.
Oh, that's so true.
Yeah, and what I realized later on was that my father did an amazing job of masking what he was going through. I was partially complicit because I didn't want to know how sick he was.
Right.
And I allowed myself to believe that he was okay until I could no longer
Believe it.
I could no longer deny it.
Right.
And that
Was your father the first one sick, or were your mother?
yes, yeah, my
Father
father
was the first one.
My father was first.
And he had
And
dementia as well, Jude?
oh yeah, he had vascular dementia, and he hit it. It didn't really become apparent until he had a major crisis, and then he couldn't hide it anymore. And that was when my first big caregiving journey started, and I started learning about things like long-term care insurance and illnesses and dementia, and what the role that a child must take if they want to make their parents as comfortable as you possibly can. And at that time my mom was okay, but she was freaking out because she was um, so tied to my father. My father was her ambassador to the world. My father was the social guy. He was the financial guy. He made all the arrangements.
Right.
So after
How long were they married? How long were they married?
they were married 53 years.
Wow.
Wow.
And yeah, and my parents had this 15-year period where they were in retirement, and they had a great time. And
Which is
I was
right.
Oh yeah, it was such a gift, and I loved that they were having so much fun. And so when my father got sick, I didn't want to think that the party was ending, but it was ending. So, I had to learn how to not just care for my dad, but help my mother to deal with her realizations that life was not going to be the same again. And then after my father died, my mother went back to living independently in Florida. And I entered a new phase of caregiving with her where it was like distance caregiving. And every vacation, Bob and I would go down to Florida, and we didn't have vacations for fun anymore. We went down to see how mom was doing. And we, take her shopping, we get things fixed, we, just make sure that she was okay until she wasn't okay anymore. And then there were like a number of interventions. She had a heart attack in 2006, which she reported over the phone to me. And I had to force her to go to the doctor because she didn't want to go. In 2009.
Do you think that both your parents not being clear in expressing to you or asking for help or hiding, as you put it, had to do with the dementia? Do you think? Or
No.
Do you think it was a conscious not wanting to share it with you?
I think my parents, like so many parents, didn't want to burden me.
They didn't want to worry you.
They didn't want to
That's
worry
what
me.
my
They didn't want to
dad
burden
did,
me. That's
and that's
really,
what my mom did.
Yeah. Most, they didn't want me to have to intervene. But there comes a point where you realize they need your help. My mother couldn't handle my father's situation by herself. There was no way. So, I had to get involved with that. And as my mother's situation changed and she got, she wanted me to believe that she was independent, but she wasn't. And at each stage, I was always checking in on her. I was taking her temperature, seeing what was going on.
And they resent that. They definitely resent that, being checked up on.
Right. Well, the big thing is that the big epiphany was that it's about control. Because when they realize they're losing control of their lives, then they do what they and regain the illusion that they have control. So what do? They go to you, right? You're trying to help them. You're trying to be good to them, and they're being mean to you because they resent that you're more capable than they are, and they know how to upset you because they know where all your buttons are installed because they installed them and they put them. And that restores that illusion of control. Yeah. So it makes them feel better. Like, I showed her.
Yeah.
But then they start to realize that, they were being really nasty and it wasn't really necessary. And, I'm an unusual person because I had a unique relationship with my mother. We weren't typical mother-daughter. I was hip to her tricks. So,
You what?
I was hip to her tricks. I knew her extremely well. I knew how she operated before she got dementia. And what people don't realize is that when somebody gets dementia, they don't just turn into something completely different. There's a version of that original person, right? That's, that's still there throughout. And so I knew what her basic nature was, and I knew the kinds of things that she was going to do. Or I could understand where she was coming from in a lot of different situations when she couldn't express herself as well as she used to.
I think, isn't dementia a form of aphasia?
No.
Aphasia,
very often dementia causes aphasia. My mother had it.
Yes, okay.
So
it was some correlation.
Yeah, because different parts of your brain are damaged with dementia.
Right.
So my mother had problems with language. Mostly it was with expression, but as time went on, she didn't understand either because there were so many other things going on in her brain that she became very delusional. She developed all kinds of hallucinations, and she came up with an incredible narrative, which was had nothing to do with the life that I knew that she had lived. So it was interesting. And then when my husband got sick the last time, the big lesson that came home to me then was how important it is for all of us to have advocates. Because when you are in the hospital, you need someone who knows you, who can speak for you, and who can talk to the doctors and who can get it done. Because if you're left in the hospital by yourself and trying to speak for yourself, you will be plowed under. And
Tracy,
it's extremely important.
I have a question.
It's extremely important.
I
to
have a
somebody
question.
from
What
outside.
happens if there is no family and you're in the hospital? There are people out there who everybody's gone, so they're alone, and now they're in the hospital, and it could have happened suddenly. What do they do then?
That's
I mean,
a big
if they're
problem.
wearing, let's say, a necklace with information on it, you know, who their lawyer is, who their contacts are, that would help, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Everyone, especially if they're, you know, if they're older, they need to carry something that says who they're in case of. Well, you know what? Everybody should. Everybody needs to have their what's called ICE in case of emergency.
Yes.
So,
yes.
like, there's a place on your phone, okay, where you can say who your ICE is, who your in case of emergency person
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Everyone should have that. There should
Yeah.
be someone in your life who can be called in an emergency. Absolutely. And everyone should have
And
a healthcare proxy.
it would be beneficial also for the hospitals around where you live to know that you have a healthcare proxy.
Yeah, but you know, you have to document it. You have to have a document that says.
Well, but you have to give them a document.
Yes, yes, and that's something that every person should have a copy, and the person who they appoint or the people they appoint should have a copy as well. It needs to be signed and in some cases notarized, witnessed somehow that you've made that choice. Everyone should have that, and that includes.
Now, what happens
children
to a
who are
person
18.
who, let's say, is not wearing a necklace, who has no family, and they end up in a hospital? Maybe they were in an accident. They're older. There's nobody around. What happens to that person? I mean, they have their home, they have their belongings. What happens to all that?
They get managers.
Let's say they have a healthcare proxy, but nobody knows about it. They have an attorney. They have all this, but nobody knows because
It's
it
a problem.
suddenly ended
It's
up in
a
the
huge
hospital.
problem, Judy. Listen, every hospital there's a social worker who's assigned to work with every person, you know, every patient, and they're supposed to coordinate with the outside world on behalf of that person, but they're usually overwhelmed. And if they don't know, how can they respond? When Bob was in the hospital, he had 4 different roommates, and depending on who was in their circle, had a huge impact on what happened to them. The first guy, when I got there, had not eaten in 24 hours.
Wow.
Now,
this
was New Year's. This was New Year's, okay? So these are people who stumble into the emergency room, okay, on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, with no advocate, get admitted by the hospital, and then there's to write orders for what kind of food they should be allowed to have. And the nurses upon themselves to just give them anything, because if they give them the wrong kind of food, it could kill them.
Right.
That's right.
So it's a huge problem, and that's why everyone needs. If you're going to go to the hospital, number one, call someone who you know and trust, who can be there for you, because you you got to put it in writing. You know, when you get to the hospital, they're going to ask you to fill out this paperwork, right? And they're going to ask you, is there somebody who can speak for you? You can fill out their document, but if you already have documents that were done legally, fill out those documents because it will supersede whatever you did before. Right. So you want to make sure that the last phone call you make before you head to the hospital is to that person, so that they can be there for you, or you can fall through the cracks very easily.
Yeah. Tracy, I have a question for you. Because if we have what is it called? Not a will, but a proxy, right? What do you call it?
Healthcare proxy.
Healthcare proxy. Can we give it to the hospital while we're healthy?
I wouldn't
Yeah.
trust them to keep it on.
I'm just asking.
I mean, they could, but every time you come in, they're going to ask you
Okay.
again.
Because
And,
nowadays
you know,
they have like a system, that all your paperwork's on. Like because when I had my herniated discs because of my knee, I went to one doctor and he just brought it up on the other doctor brought it up on the screen the next day. So there is an intermingling, what's it called, like file for you. So it'd be awesome
there is, but
but
they change systems. The systems between hospital networks do not talk to each other.
yes, that I know.
The notes that your doctor has on you do not make it over to the hospital. So you want to make sure one thing that you can do that could save your life. Make a PDF and store it on your phone. That way you always have it with you.
Right, that's a good idea.
And share that with your healthcare proxy. That way they have a copy, and in the event that they need to get, I mean, you can get a hard copy later, but if you have a digital version and you can show it to the administrators at the hospital, then now they know. When Bob was admitted to the hospital,
well, how can you copy so many pages?
Oh, you make a multi-page PDF.
Yeah. And the other thing, maybe you could save it to Google Drive.
You could save it. Yeah, you could save it to a Google Drive. You could save it to a Dropbox. There are a lot of different ways that you can save it. I use a program called Footprint ID.
What's that? Never heard of it.
It's a great tool. I highly recommend it. Go to footprintid.com. It's a membership.
Can you say that slowly?
Footprint ID. FOOTPRINT. Footprint ID. And footprintid.com. Yeah, you can get there's an iPhone app that you can get that shows, you can put in all your data, who your doctors are, your procedures, your medications, everything that's pertinent to your health, and it has a server where you can store documents. And then you can make that information available to your healthcare proxy. That way, they get a call in the middle of the night or whenever, you're in the hospital, they can come down, they can open up the app, and they can show that they have healthcare proxy for you. They can see all the medical information that you put in there. And that way, there's no guessing. They don't have to go looking for a key to a safe deposit box or going through files. Everything's there in one place.
So you're actually creating your own file online.
Yes.
So that you're doing your own work. So you can have it for if you go on a trip or you go, wherever you are, you can have access.
It travels with you.
Right.
So I have Bob and I are in the same account, and my niece has access to that account.
Right.
So if we're both, God forbid, hospitalized, and she needs to come down and prove that she has the authority to speak for us, she can pull up that information on her phone.
Wow, that's awesome.
And she can show. And when Bob was in the hospital the last time, the nurse asked if he had a will and if he had a healthcare proxy. And Bob looks at me like a deer in the headlights, and I'm like, yes, he does. You want to see him? Yeah. And she almost fell over because nobody ever says yes.
Yeah.
So
everybody should have a healthcare proxy.
Everybody should have a healthcare proxy. Everybody should have an advocate. Everybody should have someone who can speak for them in the event that something happens and they can't speak for themselves. And that's a huge and growing problem. And I've been working on a solution. I am hoping to put together a certification program that educates people, screens them, verifies them, vets them, so that they can become a hired healthcare proxy and POA for the millions of people who are going to need this
Yes.
as
Yes.
as the population ages.
Yes.
And so many of us will not have someone like a child or a niece or a nephew or a neighbor, so a trusted party that they can just call, right? So we're going to need an army of these people who can be hired to do this important work.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm working on it.
I agree. That's awesome. There's none out there, Tracy?
No.
Nobody? Wow. That's
Nope.
incredible.
Nope.
That's incredible.
And you know, I mean, I work with people who do that, but there's no like formal education for it. There are a lot of different certifications out there, but nothing that certifies somebody as a healthcare advocate.
Yeah, and that would be awesome in this program to have them have access to your files. You know, because it changes all the time. You know,
absolutely.
So,
And it's
so if they're a member of your company or Grand Family Planning or whatever, they're a member of that. They can always have updated information. Updated. You can just go there and get updated information.
Well, yeah, you know, if you have Footprint ID, you can it's important to keep the information updated. So you know, you can do it, or I know that they were working with doctors who could actually access the information and keep the information updated for people who weren't as technologically savvy.
Right.
It's not hard to do, but for some people,
yeah, they don't. But
jumping on a website is intimidating, and it's really pretty simple, but
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
if your information changes and you can have your healthcare professional keep your information up to date and accessible, it's one less thing to worry about. So you know, I think it's an avenue worth pursuing for a lot of people.
And you know what, you have
So
to.
you could have this a couple of ways. You could have this in your phone. You could wear an ID necklace with the very important phone numbers of the people that have to be contacted in an emergency. That way, if let's say you don't have your phone with you and you're in a car accident, at least you're wearing it.
You would hope. I mean, like I know people with dementia, they have a tendency to take those things off.
Yes, I know.
My mother was always taking her necklace off.
And Tracy, don't you think, and I'm just asking this question, would they have to sign like something stating that they know their responsibilities, like through that certification? Because you know, you don't want anybody.
Yeah. That's why it would be a certification.
Yeah.
The way I'm putting this together, first of all, the people who would apply for the program would have to have their emotional IQ evaluated, because not everybody is emotionally equipped to be able to deal with this kind of stuff. Then they have to be vetted, they have to be background checked. You got to make sure that they are honest and that they have they will, you know, because you're putting a person's life in their hands.
Yeah, I would love to be a part of the program. I would love to be. I would love
I'll
to.
let you know. I'll let you know. It's been it's a long haul. It's a lot of work. So
because you gotta make sure that you.
I can see you doing it, Renee.
Say it again.
I could see you doing that.
Yeah, because I like to make sure.
You're very good at that.
You know, so and that's a way I can make sure that somebody is being taken care of. You know.
Yes,
so
yes, and it's an extremely important role, and we're going to need millions of people to do it, because there are going to be millions of people in need over time.
How long? I mean, I'm just like, not for myself, but just for how long do you see the process? Like a year, 2 years, 5 years? How long do you see?
Oh well, you know, I'm looking at this as a 2-year certification.
No. What I'm saying is, how long before it'll be ready to go? Like,
okay, no, I don't have a target date because I'm working on too many other things.
I know.
but I'm hopeful that I'll be able to get it done in the next couple of years. It needs to be done.
Yeah.
I'm working with another fellow, a friend of mine, Gary Altheim, is a clinical psychologist, and he and I are working on a program for young folks. He had an organization where he would bring high school aged kids to dementia homes with iPod and headphones, and put them on the patients and share music with them. And it was
that's very important.
Fabulous.
That's very important. Music
Yes.
and memory, very important.
Yes. So he enabled this, but now with some things happened to the organization. Unfortunately, they're had to make some changes, and we're actually looking at creating a new program where we will be selling it to faith-based organizations and others to train kids and how to work with seniors, not just with music, but with the bringing arts into the homes, which is it's a brilliant thing, because this way the kids are connecting with seniors and learning not to be afraid of them, not to be afraid of dementia, and seeing the impact they can make on the lives of these people. And in the meantime, we're putting together some programs where we can deliver this kind of content remotely, because we can't go to these long-term care facilities. So we want to be able to entertain them and engage them remotely. So we're working as well.
Wow, that's incredible. So how does is the grand family planning, is that is everything else under the umbrella of grand family planning? Like, is that
well, some of it is, yeah. The help that I provide to individual families to navigate through healthcare crises and how to deal with being a caregiver is under grand family planning. I also do speaking. I do workshops, and I'm really heavily focused on the commercial sphere right now, getting through to companies. I'm also approaching government aides, because they need to know this as well. So,
what were you approaching? Tracy, you broke up. Who are you approaching?
Governmental agencies, local and federal.
Okay.
Because they need this information also. They also have employees who have these issues. So so I'm reaching out to them as well. And I'm also putting together a course on being a healthier caregiver.
That'd be awesome.
So and that's really interesting, because I've taught on the college level. I've taught on the professional level, on the master's level, but this is the first time I'm putting together an online course. So and it's
very important.
It's really interesting. Yeah. So I hope to get that out before the end of the summer.
That's important, because people can watch it. Nowadays people can't schedule anything, so they could go on and take your class anytime.
Right. It's self-paced.
If it's set up that way. Yes. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's going to be self-paced. Some of the learning materials will be in the book, but I will make them available, the chapters available, so that they don't have to buy the book if they don't want to. But yeah, teaching them, how to have the conversation with their parents, what they need to talk about, how to actually have a productive conversation with their parents, because when you first go to have the conversation with them, there's usually pushback.
Right.
So how to change the conversation so it's more productive, and then what to actually do once you've got them engaged and they agree. Like how do you get the documents done? What's a smart way to do them? And then how do you implement what you've started? How do you create a really smart plan that's flexible and evolves as their needs evolve, so that you can take better care of yourself and them? Wow. So what the course is going to be about.
It's important
And
stuff.
yeah, and then I wanted to let you know on Friday, June 2nd,
Okay.
I am doing
So June
a
2nd is
webinar.
Tuesday.
Sorry.
June 2nd is a Tuesday? Yes, it's this Tuesday.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's not the 2nd. It's the 12th. I'm sorry. I
That's
wrote it
okay.
down wrong.
That's okay.
I'm glad you
12th
pointed
is
that
a
out.
Friday.
Yes, June 12th. Yeah, June 12th
It's a
at
Friday.
at 2 p.m. I'm going to be having a webinar with a friend of mine who is her name is Penny Patnow, and she is a dementia care specialist.
Oh, wow.
And the two of us are going to be talking specifically, what do I do with them now? Because we're addressing this issue of people recognizing that their parents are more vulnerable than they thought. And so what do I do about it, and how do I handle it? And considerations as to how to what sorts of living arrangements can be made so that they are cared for safely, and in ways that they can continue to be involved, because as we know, it's extremely important for our loved ones to have the advocacy. So that's what that's going to be about. It's going to be a free webinar on Zoom on again on Friday, June 12th at 2
And where
p.m.
can we find the link? Can you share the link to my page?
Don't have a link yet.
Okay.
But I'm going to start. I'll start promoting it, and when it's I will. I'm going to do an Eventbrite event,
Okay.
and I'll share that with you, and so
Okay.
your listeners can sign up for it and
Okay.
enjoy it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be doing that this week. Get it promoted because tomorrow's June 1st.
It's so scary. Actually, we're starting. I don't even know if Judy knows this, but we're starting a Zoom online support group for stroke and aphasia.
What did you just say?
We're starting a Zoom support group so that people could Zoom
Oh, that's
in
a good idea.
Yeah, so that they have a place to go, so that they could just share their concerns. One of the groups that Judy and I are in are women who had strokes, and I'm a part of that. And I saw the conversation and how engaged they are to talk to each other. And and one woman was sharing her steps every day, and we're cheering her on. And I mean, it's just really important to show hope and and bring. So I like to see their faces, and just so that we could all know that we're here, and we'll come up with topics to talk about, and we'll have a free area where they can share their concerns and everything. So but we think we need to have a topic so we're staying focused. We're not like all over the place. So we have a purpose for each meeting. So that's coming soon.
Oh, also, I wanted to offer your viewers. I'm putting together a lean-in group for working caregivers.
A lean-in group. What's a lean-in?
Lean-in, yeah. There's an organization called Lean-in. It was started by Sheryl Sandberg from Facebook.
Yes, I saw her. Yes, she wrote the book Lean-in. Right?
Yes, exactly. So she started these. Right. So she started this organization, Lean-in Circles. So I'm putting together this circle of working caregivers, so that we can get together on a regular basis and do do some support of each other. My friend Gary, who I mentioned with the youth group, he is also a caregiver, and I have another several other people who I've been talking to who are in the position of having careers and taking care of somebody. And I think that people who are in that position where they're trying to balance,
and you get thrust into that position without any notice.
Correct.
A lot of time.
Yes, because as we all know, caregiving starts as favors, and then it works its way up to the unpaid gig that eats your life. So
that's the reality of life. You know, that's,
Yes.
we always
Yes.
have to make sure that we have a job, like you're trying to work with your the companies to share with them, you know, this could happen to you, you know, the leader.
And likely will. There's a 70% chance that it will.
Right, right. So we all
So
have to be conscious of helping. And you know what I've learned in my life? I've had wonderful bosses. When I was at Wanakee Reserve, at Radburn Association, I've had wonderful people that the more they support me, the more I give to them. Like I will get up at 4 in the morning to work if I have to go to the doctors in the afternoon, because they're such great people that I want to make sure that I'm doing everything I can to stay on top and do my work. So
exactly right. Exactly right. And that's what I'm trying to put across to the employers is that, you know, when they provide that kind of support, they're going to have extreme loyalty, right? Because, you know, when you work for somebody who understands you and supports you, who makes you feel like you're you know, you're doing something noble, right? When you're taking care of a loved one, not like you're taking something away from them,
yeah,
you know. And unfortunately, you know, I think that the financial crisis of 2008 did a lot of damage, a lot of residual damage, where companies had this high productivity idea where, you know, people don't ever take vacation, they don't ever take time off, and if they do, then they're going to be passed over for promotions, they're going to be passed over for opportunities, and they're going to be treated like they're weak because they need time off. And the truth is, all the research shows that when people do take time off and they take better care of themselves, they're astronomically
better
more
employees.
productive.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, you know, and we need to understand this and we need to support it. We need to change the dynamic. Employers need to understand that, they need to demonstrate it. They need to lead by example. They need for their management to take the time off and be vocal about it. You know, so, yeah, you know what? I'm taking 2 weeks off. I'm going to recharge my batteries, and I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. And don't send me any emails, don't send me any messages. I'm taking real time off.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
Right.
really set that example so people know that it's desirable to be that way.
I'll never forget when my father was in the hospital. I forget which time. I worked from the hospital for 2 weeks. I worked. They allowed me to work from the hospital. I brought my computer. I sat by my father's bed, and that's what I did. You know, and they let me do it. You know, it was a gift.
Yes.
It was a gift.
And you know, and when you have an employer who actually does support you through that, it makes all the difference. And you want to perform for them, and you want to come back.
Yeah.
And you also, you know, and if they're providing the right kind of support, you're not so worried about that. It's not in the back of your mind plaguing you while you're trying to focus on taking care of your loved one. So it's extremely important, and people need to put these ideas and practices into place. And for anyone who's looking to start doing something like that for their employees, I welcome them to contact me. I'll give them a free consult. I'll even do a free survey, show them who the people are in their organization, show them the magnitude.
Yeah.
Because we can do an anonymous survey, and they can see how many people in their organization are actually doing this right now.
Right. 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 I mean, caregiving goes, you know, around the circle. I mean, with your grandchildren, with your, you know, at 4:30 every day. You know, prior to this pandemic, I was off picking up my grandson, 4:30 to 6, and then I was free to do whatever I needed to do. Like, you know, so I'd get up early in the morning, I'd work, you know, but 4:30 I had to be out the door to pick up my grandson, and then at 6 o'clock I'm free to do whatever anybody wants me to do again. So, you know, there's different ways you have to care give, you know, with your parents, with your children, with someone that's sick. It's just,
Yes. And we all have to, and we have to figure things out, and we have to, you know, work out within our families. So, you know, who does what, so that no one is shouldering an unfair portion of the situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a lot of work, and people who haven't done it don't get it. So it's very important that that everyone understands how important it is, what kind of support is necessary, and and work things out so it's fair and equitable and no one gets harmed.
Wow. Tracy, you always bring so much information to us. I mean, and the gift is that it's videotaped so that people can scan back to see it. I mean, just the knowledge and the research that you do and you bring to us all the time is really a gift. So
it's my pleasure, Renee. And if anybody needs to reach me, remember Dementia Sucks, and you'll remember dementiasucks.com. That website is up. And you can contact me through that website. You can also access all of my other websites through that one. Well, they're all connected. So the Grand Family Planning.
And how could they buy
the book? The book it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes and Noble. Walmart carries it.
It's an excellent book. It's an excellent book. I feel everybody should read it.
Thanks, Judy. Appreciate it.
Is it available?
And there is humor in it as well. So, and there's information of who to contact and everything. So it's a very good journey that you took us on with that book, that we would understand all these things. And you did it with humor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Renee, what was your question?
Is it available on audio?
No, I haven't gone there. I would like to eventually, but
you'd be good at reading it. You'd be very good because you would know where the accents are. You know what I'm saying? Like you would humor. Yeah. You're humorous yourself, so you would be very good at reading it. So
thank you. It's another to-do list item for sure.
I know. Well, we have to go because I think Jim has another show. I'm not sure, but we're so blessed to call you our partners and friends and everything else down the line, and we're happy to welcome you to the show anytime. Because like I said, you bring so much information. I did see Kelly was watching us. Kelly is the woman that I put you both on that one time.
Yes.
Her mother had
actually twice. We were on twice together.
Yeah, twice. So I actually want to hook you guys up again on the show to see how her doing. Kelly's very good because when you share information with Kelly, she follows through. And she does her work, like she did all the work. So I want to see where she's at on her journey with her mother. It's really, and they're a caregiver, so it's really important that we all.
And tell Kelly I said hello.
Yes, and please send my regards. Hi, Kelly. Hope you're well.
Say hi to Kelly because I think she's watching us. Hi, Kelly. Oh, I gotta talk to her too. Anyway, so thank you so much for joining us. Please stay safe. And I know there's been a lot of, I want to say this in the proper manner, that we need to unite the world in peace. And we need to pray for healing around the world. So unite the world in peace and pray for healing around the world. That's really our prayers and our goal. And we hope that everybody has a blessed Sunday. So let's blow kisses, Kelly. Tracy, ready? 1, 2, 3. Bye, everybody. See you later.
Bye. God bless you all.
Bye, Tracy.
Take care.
Thank you.
Take care, hon. Be well.
Thanks, Tracy.
Mi amor, yo no entiendo por qué tú más que nadie sabes qué pasó en mi vida. Yo no sé qué tú piensas, yo no sé lo que haré, yo no sé lo que estoy perdiendo, yo no sé lo que va a pasar. No me puedes escuchar llorar solo sin ti, no me puedes oír llorar. El día que caminaste por la puerta, todas las memorias fueron. Mi corazón estaba by faith. Now I believe there comes a time when